Yep, you see it, you hear it. I'm gonna try and get this video done before this rain comes in. Hey, welcome to another video. Boy, this might be a short one with this rain coming in. But I'd like to try and get it recorded. What I wanted to discuss was, I had a little bit of photography gas recently. I've been doing a lot of soul searching as to what camera bodies do I really need, what lenses do I really need, based on my style of photography these days, which obviously could be very different than your style of photography. So when I talk about some of these camera bodies, this is based on my needs, okay? And also, it's not going to be a review of any particular camera body. It's just how I found it and the way I use it. And specifically, in the last few weeks, I've sold off my Nikon Z7II, and I picked up a Nikon Z50ii, the crop sensor one, with the little, I think it's 16 to 50 variable aperture Nikon lens, and also a Viltrox 15mm 1.7 lens. And I got some filters for it and an L bracket. It all came in a package that I bought off eBay, and that still cost me less than what I sold my Z7II for. So I made out okay, but that's a whole nother topic. But the reason why I wanted the Z50II was followers of my channel know that I recently took a cruise to the Mediterranean. It gets a little heavy carrying around a Z8 with some lenses all day long. Now, all I took on that particular cruise was a Thypoch 28 and a Voigtlander 50, both manual focus lenses. That's all I took with the Z8 on that trip. And it got me thinking, well, if I do that, can I lighten my bag even a little bit more? And being that I had two full frame camera bodies in the Z7II and the Z8, I thought I'd shift over to a Z50II. Welcome to lightning in South Florida. I don't think I'm going to sit on that step much longer. Okay, now that I have a new set of drawers on, let's try and continue this video. So anyway, in my revelations, I decided, or what I've come to terms with, is that in essence, is that I'm a portrait photographer who doesn't necessarily always photograph people. Might be wildlife, might be a portrait of a mountain, might be people, but my style has grown over the years for me to understand that no matter what genre I'm photographing in, I look at it as me being a portrait photographer. And I think that that was an important thing for me to realize. And being that I print a lot in platinum now, I don't necessarily need big prints. So I can move to a crop sensor body, maybe. That's what I'm trying to figure out, and not necessarily lose a whole lot. I thought I would test that out. Just recently, we had a family trip to Chicago for a wedding. It was only an in and out trip. We were only there for 2 full days. So I didn't get to do a lot of photography because I was there for a wedding and I also was there helping my wife at times babysit my grandkids. But I did get out on the streets a couple of times and do a little street photography. So I'm going to show you some of those images. All the images that you see now were shot with the Z50 II and one of those two lenses that I previously mentioned, the little Nikon lens and the Viltrox lens. So you'll be able to see that the Z50 II is certainly a very capable camera. It's a lot lighter than the Z8, but for me personally, I still haven't decided on what lenses I really want to use with that camera body. I may end up using my full frame lenses with that camera body. Yeah, it'll be a little bit heavier. And both of those lenses are okay for what they are. The Viltrox, as you can see, there'll be a couple of images with buildings, and there is some distortion, but it's a wide angle lens, and you're going to get that with most wide angle lenses if you're going to be shooting cityscapes. Me, I don't shoot a lot of cityscapes, so it's not that big a deal to me, but it was when I went to Chicago. But I never used that lens before, so I didn't really know. The one big drawback to the Z50 II, at least for me, was the battery life, which was, I had it fully charged before I left, and I ran it completely down to where it wouldn't shoot anymore, and I took 227 images. That was it, on the one battery. And I made a very bad rookie mistake in thinking that any USB cable would recharge that camera and the battery. It didn't. So I only had one battery life. Thankfully, like I said, we were only there for a couple of days, and I could have used maybe another half hour to an hour of battery life, but it wasn't terrible. But the battery life, yeah. The big advantage to that camera walking around Chicago for me was, besides the fact that it was a whole lot lighter than a Z8, people don't pay as much attention to you. I had this little camera and a couple of small lenses. One time I think I carried a camera bag. I have a little wandered bag that I had them in, and the other time I walked with just a camera and one lens. And it was kind of interesting, while I was walking along the streets, I saw a couple of photographers. One had a Leica Q monochrome, and the other had a Leica M. So I stopped and chatted with them for a little bit. And they were both very nice people, don't get me wrong, but the one asked me, well, what kind of camera are you using? And I said, well, I have this little Nikon Z50 II. And they both looked at me like, okay. You ain't getting any shots. Well, they're just wrong. As you can see in the images, I got some nice shots, and I really wish I had another couple of days to have spent there. My bank account was glad that I got out of there. Chicago's not exactly the least expensive town to visit, and I'm sure people that have visited there know that. But being, like I said, we were only there for the wedding and we got out, it was fine. But Chicago was street photography heaven, believe me. I could have spent a few more days there. Anyway, the point is that, do I regret getting rid of my Z7II for Z50 II? If I didn't have my Z8, then yeah, I might have felt that way, because it's not that much lighter than a Z7II, but honestly, it performed very well. It's a very good camera. I have tried using it for wildlife, for the heron photos that I take, and it did an okay job. I like the fact that, now I put one of my full frame lenses on it, and I like the crop factor. Now, yeah, I could use my Z8 and just put it in the crop factor form and off I go, and I haven't tested to see if they would look identical or not. I would imagine they would be pretty close, but I haven't done that. And I also haven't really tested my full frame lenses on the crop sensor. I know you can use them, that's not the point. It's how much better image quality will I get or not get using those lenses versus the two lenses that I already have, Or do I upgrade and get a little bit better lenses that work with the DX body? That's something I have to work out. Do I like using full frame files more than I did the ones that came out of the Z52? Yeah, honestly I do. I like those bigger files to work with. You get a little bit more latitude. Not a lot, but you do. And obviously you can crop in even a little bit more. So I think once I understand what type of images I can take with the DX versus a full frame, I'll get a little bit better at it. So the bottom line, would I ever sell my Z8 and only go to a Z52? Not a chance. My Z8 is still going to be my workhorse camera. The Z52 I will use. Would I take that and only that on a cruise? If I find the right lenses for it, yeah, I probably would. And not cart around the Z8. Will I be using the Z52 for my Heron photos instead of the Z8? I'll still use the Z8. I have someone that wants me to help him with some fashion photography, which I'm considering. I'll use the Z8 with the full frame lenses. So I mean, it still will have its application, and I wouldn't get rid of that for the Z52. But if you're a beginner and you're just learning about photography, you can't go wrong with the Z52. And even that little lens, the kit lens it comes with, is it the best lens I own? No, it's not even close. But it did the job. A lot of the photos that you just looked at came off that lens. It did the job. So for the value, it's a good little lens, and the same with the Viltrox. For the money you spend on it, it's a good little lens. Now, like I said, I got them all as part of the deal that I bought, so I didn't have to individually buy them. You know, had I gone out and individually bought lenses, I probably wouldn't have bought either one of those two. But now that I have them, I may end up keeping both of them. I don't know. The Viltrox I think I'm going to use on my Z50 for my infrared work. I think that might be a really good lens for infrared, but we'll find out. That's going to be a future video. Anyway, I just thought I'd touch base. I hadn't made a lot of videos lately just because I've been traveling so much and had a head cold, but I did want to put this out and talk about the differences between the Z52, a Z7II, and a Z8. The Z8 is the far better camera. Okay, I don't want to try and hide that. The Z8 is the far better camera than the Z52. But is the Z52 capable of getting good images? Yes, no doubt about it. You could live with a Z52, especially if you're just starting out. And even me, as being a portrait photographer who doesn't always shoot people, if I had to, I could stay with just a Z52. Fortunately, I don't have to, but I could. All right, that's about it. Hope you're well. Take good care. Until the next time, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.